Between the American Revolution and the Civil War, as many as 1 million enslaved people were moved across state lines. Most of those people were bought and sold in the domestic slave market. No state moved and sold more people than Virginia, and no city in Virginia more than Richmond. Tens of thousands of people were bought and sold in Richmond's auction houses and slave jails. In the late 1840s, one trading firm of the many in Richmond sold about 2,000 enslaved people annually. In 1853, Richmond was a city of less than 30,000 people, over a third of whom were enslaved. In March of that year, Eyre Crowe, an English painter, visited the city. Crowe was accompanying William Thackeray on his tour of the U.S. He arrived in Richmond aboard the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac Railroad, which traveled down Broad Street and ended near the corner of 8th Street, just a couple of blocks from the Virginia Capitol. Crowe stayed at the American Hotel, one of the finest hotels in the city, located 2 blocks south of the Capitol. On his first morning in the city, he noticed ads for slave sales. Curious to see the trade for himself, he asked directions and set off down Main Street to witness Richmond's slave trade. Main Street was the commercial hub of the city, lined with shops on either side. It descended down into an area known as Shockoe Bottom. A number of slave traders were clustered in the bottom along Wall Street, an alley that ran to the west of Shockoe Creek. This was some of the least valuable land in the commercial heart of Richmond, but near the main business district. Crowe witnessed 3 auctions that day, sketching a scene at one that later served as the basis for his powerful painting, Slaves Waiting for Sale. What he saw was just a small fraction of the businesses associated with the slave trade in Richmond. The red buildings on the map mark the major sites of the slave trade in Richmond in 1853. Auction houses and slave jails and hotels. Visitors to Richmond today have no way of seeing these events, and residents have few ways of marking them. These tragic and redemptive stories are worth recalling, if only as part of our own representational spaces. As Crowe did in his painting, together we are developing an interpretation, a representational space, of the material world of the antebellum slave market.